before we get into what the playoff picture and what are the chances of the Giants making the playoffs if they lose this week or win this week or win this week, lose next week, we got all the different scenarios for the Giants to make the playoffs. We'll show you those percentages coming up in a little bit. Before we do, I want to ask you this question. Will the Giants make the playoffs? Go ahead and sound off for me. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know what you think. Coming up in today's Giants Now by Chat Sports, we're going to be taking a look at the playoff path and the playoff picture coming up for Big Blue. There's 6 games left in the season, and as Brian Daboll said, the season starts now. The season starts now. The Giants, they're sitting at 7-4. They control their own destiny. We'll show you the schedule in a second, but let's take a look at the NFC playoff picture right now. First place in the NFC is the Philadelphia Eagles at 10-1. Giants still get to play them 2 more times. Minnesota, they're in the 2 spot sitting at 9-2, while San Francisco is at the 3 spot. They're at 7-4. They've really got hot in the second half of the season. And the Tampa Bay Bucks, led by Tom Brady, sub 500, are in the 4th spot. They lost last week, but I still expect for the Bucks to make the playoffs. Other teams got the Cowboys at the 1st spot in the wild card at 8-3. The Giants at 7-4, right there at the 2nd wild card spot. Then you got Washington at the 7th spot. If the playoffs ended today, we would see a 3-6 matchup of the Giants versus San Francisco 49ers. That would be in San Francisco. Crazy to see it right now that every team in the NFC East is in the playoffs. But look, the Giants are not in the clear. Seattle's right there at 6-5. That's really the only threat. So you really want to guarantee that the Giants make the playoffs, just root against the Seahawks every single week. This is what the Giants' remaining schedule looks like as they get closer and closer to that final playoff push. 6 games left. You got 2 against the Commanders, 2 against the Eagles, and then 2 games again, or 1 game against Minnesota and 1 game against Indy. I believe if you win 3 out of these 6 games, the Giants are going to be a shoo-in for the playoffs. That would get the Giants to a 10-7 record. I believe that 10 wins is going to get the Giants into the playoffs. That's actually what I am going to predict today for the Giants' final record, and I'll ask you to do the same. Predict the Giants' final record in the chat right now. I'm rolling with 10-7. I think the Giants find a way to win 3 more games. I haven't beaten the Colts, and I haven't at least beaten Washington twice. Maybe they beat the Eagles twice. Maybe they sweep Washington and beat the Eagles. Maybe they beat the Vikings. A lot of winnable games. None of them are going to be easy. Predict the Giants' final record. I'll go 10-7. I think that gets them in the playoffs. 10-7 is a lock to get them into the playoffs. I'll say that. Predict it in the comment section. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we're going to continue to put out videos every single day on the latest Giants news and rumors. Sub for Giants Dubs. Go ahead and do it right now. If you want the Giants to go out and beat the Commanders, sub right now. Sub for Dubs. Don't jinx it. Hit that big red button if you want the Giants to beat the Commanders this week. The Giants' playoff chances as they stand right now. Prior to Week 13, prior to the game this weekend against Washington, the Giants, according to the NY Times and their playoff simulator, which is really cool, they have a 64% chance to make the playoffs. If you beat Washington this week, their chances go from 64% to 81%. If you lose to Washington this week, that drops your chances from 64 to 45, sub 50. This is a must-win game. If you want the Giants to make the playoffs, if you want to make the playoffs, Brian Daboll, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Mike Kafka, everybody over there, Wink Martindale, if you want to make the playoffs, Sunday is a must-win game. We just showed you. If the Giants win, they got an 81% chance. If they lose, they got a 45% chance. A win this week is huge. This is the biggest game of the season so far. Honestly, at this point, every game is going to come down to being the biggest game. This is a must-win game. You have to win this game. So I want to ask you, I got the Giants. I got the Giants winning the game. I want to hear from you. Who do you have winning the football game? Let me know. Who do you have winning the football game? Giants have to win. Giants have to win. Giants will win. I'm going to speak it into existence. The Giants will win. Type those NYGs unless you're a fraud and rooting for the Commanders. Here we go. The next 3 weeks for the Giants are huge. You got 2 games against the Commanders, and you got the Eagles right in the middle. Go Commanders at home, Washington, then Commanders. So let's go through some scenarios here of what could happen in these next 3 games. If you lose to Washington twice, the Giants' playoff chances goes to 31%. Remember, before today's game, or before the week, right now, the Giants have a 64% chance to make it. If you lose to Washington, you got a 31% chance to make it. If you split with Washington, meaning you beat them once and you lose to them once, your chances are at 69%. That is very, very nice. 69%. So, look, all you got to do is beat them once, and you're looking really good to make the playoffs. If you want to guarantee to make the playoffs, according to the New York Times, you have a 99% chance to make the playoffs if you sweep Washington. You beat Washington twice. You play them twice in 3 weeks. You beat them twice. You got a 99% chance to make the playoffs. You know how you don't make the playoffs? It's by losing your next 3 games. Lose to Washington, lose to Philly, and lose to Washington. You are sitting at a 16% chance. You got to go 2-1 over this next stretch. You at least have to win 1 game. You have a 99% chance to make the playoffs if you sweep Washington. You lose these next 3 games, you got a 16% chance. That is very, very telling. These next 3 weeks, it's going to be the biggest stretch of New York Giants football in a very, very long time. I wanted to take a look, an even deeper look, over these next 3 games, what could potentially happen for the New York Giants. If you beat the Commanders, you lose to the Eagles, and then you beat the Commanders again, you have a 97% chance to make the playoffs. Let's say you beat the Commanders, you lose to the Eagles, then you lose to the Commanders, you got a 58% chance. If you lose to the Commanders, lose to the Eagles, and then beat the Commanders, you have a 53% chance. If you lose to the Commanders, but beat the Eagles, and then beat the Commanders, you got an 89% chance. If you lose, then win, then lose, you're at a 47% chance. I'll tell you this much. If you win 2 games, you're probably going to make the playoffs. Because right here, it says you got an 89% chance if you win 2 of the next 3 games. If you win 2 of the next 3 games in this order, you got a 97% chance. Just like Corinne said in the chat. The Giants, the rest of the way, have the toughest schedule in the National Football League based off of opponent win percentage. Control what you control. Win 2 out of the next 3 games, and the Giants are going to make the playoffs. Crim's dad that says that doesn't make sense. You said lose to Washington twice, have a 31%. Now saying you will have a 47%. That's if you beat the Eagles. We didn't encounter the Eagles game in that prior odds, Crim's dad. So it might have sounded a little bit confusing. Probably should have done a better sense. That was just if you lose those 2 games. We didn't encounter the Eagles in those games. I'll tell you this much, though. I think Saquon Barkley is going to have a big game. I think Saquon Barkley has a huge game this weekend. You can get his jersey. You can get a Daniel Jones jersey, or you can get an Xavier McKinney jersey. Just go to chatsports.com/Giants throwback. That is chatsports.com/Giants throwback. That link is in the comments and description of today's show. Take care of Washington and you're in. It's that simple. You beat Washington twice, you're going to make the playoffs. Take care of Washington and you're in. And it's not going to be an easy win. I mean, look, Washington has won a lot of games this year. They got 7 wins just like the Giants. And since Taylor Heineke has come in, he's lost only 1 game. So it's not going to be an easy win. Not at all, but you can beat them. You should beat them. You're the better football team. You should beat them, take care of Washington, and you're going to make the playoffs. These final 6 games are going to be the biggest stretch for the Giants in a very, very long time. Got the Commanders twice with the Philadelphia Eagles in between. Then you play the Minnesota Vikings on the road. That's going to be tough. They're tough to beat in that building. Week 17, you play the Colts. That should be a win, no doubt about it. Then you play against the Philadelphia Eagles to close out the season. Hopefully the Eagles at that point are resting their starters, and the Giants get a cheap, easy win right there. If you're wondering who you need to root for, Giants fans, to win so the Giants have a better chance to make the playoffs, root for the Rams to beat Seattle and Miami to beat San Francisco. If the Rams beat Seattle, the Giants' playoff chances go up. The rest of the season, we should be rooting for the Seattle Seahawks to lose football games. You also want San Francisco to lose football games because those are the 2 teams that are going to be competing for that 7th wild card spot as well. Root for the Rams, root for the Dolphins, and that's going to help the Giants make the playoffs. I appreciate everyone that always makes Giants Now a part of their day today. Made it this far in the video. that means you're a real one. So go down in the comments, type real one. Big game, no doubt about it. The Giants need to win. Take care of Washington, and the Giants are going to make the playoffs for the first time since 2016. Can't believe it's been that long. Let's make the playoffs. Let's beat Washington. Comment real one if you made it this far.